Methane production from animal dung, a case study in India. We are from SMBP3 and this is our group member. History of methane production using animal dung. The capacity of manual to produce methane depends on the process compositions of the manual, which in turn depends to the composition and disability of the dire animal. The quantity of methane released during decomposition is affected by the environment and the way the manual is treated. Currently, India's total biogas output is 2.07 billion per year, compared to its capacity, which is estimated to be in the range of 29 to 48 billion per year.
So now let's see how it is carried out and the fundamental of this methodology of methane production. First, it uses data software 9.0.1. The second one is mathematical models under baseline and also modified scenarios, livestock population and also the CH4 emission projection. Those two, baseline scenario and modified scenario, is used to estimate the population development, while the accumulation of the CH4 is simulated by using the Stella software programs called delay function. So there are about 95% in total percentage representing the India's livestock population, which are cattle, buffalo, goats and sheep that are used in this study case. Next is the microorganisms type and the reaction. The microorganism type is anaerobic bacteria, so thus the anaerobic process is involved. There are about two types of bacterium involved, which are acid formers and methane formers. First, the acid formers, breaking down the volatile solid into the fatty acid sequence. The second one, which is the important one, is the methane formers. Its function is to convert the acids into methane gas and also the carbon dioxide. The optimum temperature for the methane formers are 95 degrees Fahrenheit, and it needs a higher pH. Some of the bacteria named that are recorded to produce the highest methane production, which are the green bacteria like Pseudomonas and Azobacter. Also, some other purple sulfur and non-sulfur bacteria. And the next is the requirement for the methane production from the animal dung. As you can see from the diagram, first starting with the animal dung being collected and will go through the anaerobic process in the anaerobic digester along with the help and assist of the anaerobic bacteria to produce the biogas like methane. Now let's see the requirement for developers that start in the methane production. First, obtain the grid connection and fit in tariff contract. It is a procedure of connecting to electricity grid and secure a feed-in tariff. Second, send a connection request to LDC and fulfill all the LDC standards. LDC is going to connect your project to the grid. And the third, getting a building permit. Identify a certain component of a farm-based biogas system as a framework. It is important to ensure that farm-based biogas system is allowed in that respective zone property. So long to be short, the overall, before the construction even start, a building permit will be required. Along that, the property taxation will be followed, which is only on the farm rate if built on farm and run by the farmer.
Next, type of animal dung that are suitable for the methane productions. Cow dung may be catalyzed by herbivorous bovine animal species as the undigested residues of indigested food material be excreted. Cow dung in India also used as co-product in agriculture, such as manure, biofertilizer, biopesticide, insect repellent, and has an energy source. Calcium, phosphorus, zinc, and copper are also highest in indigenous Indian cow than crossbred cow. Continuous sheep dung. The methane content of biogas delivery from sheep dropping was 70 to 72%. Chicken dung. Chicken manure is an animal waste material with high potential for biogas and interesting waste is the genetic use for the feedstock by anaerobic digestion. Characteristic of dung which is suitable for the methane productions. Dry anaerobic digestion is an alternative to traditional management of manure, mitigating heat, An environmental issue and turning organic waste into biogas by microbial consortium is an oxygen-free setting. Chicken manure is an agricultural residues material with a relative high content of dry matter, only low-cost processing, storage and transport incurred. Continue. The method of dry bulk aerobic digestion is a waste management technology more suitable for the treatment of dry feedstock material that are startable, non-free-flowing, previous and contaminant containing. The dry matter content of direct combustions must be at least 45%.
Methane production plants produce huge quantity of flammable and toxic methane gas which cause fire or explosion hazards. Highly combustible methane gas combination with the oxygen in the air can form explosive mixtures. As a result, safety precaution is very essential to prevent any undesirable situation. Gas need to be averted from moving into working areas. Most of the time near the digester and gas holder, the risk of explosion is specifically high. Presence of ignition sources must be prevented, and a mini positive pressure helps to prevent the penetration of the air inside the bioreactor. The safety devices are proposed to prevent the destruction of the gas holder membrane due to the increase of the pressure. Hence, methane production plants are normally provided with the hydraulic overpressure valve. Moreover, emergency plug being a best solution to eliminate gas holder overpressure risk when the excessive methane cannot be stored or used. Emergency response plan, route for the fire brigade vehicles, and escape routines should be perfectly designed. Some plans need to be customized with safety equipment and the planning of the building and the technical systems. The methane plant authorities must evaluate the possible hazard in the accordance with their country legislation on occupational safety. The sensors and detector must be correctly positioned, wired, calibrated, and maintained to ensure an effective emergency response system. The fire extinguisher must be available during welding, abrasive cutting, and soldering work.
This is the last section containing 4 types of questions. For this slide, it shows the 4 types of questions. Let's take a look for the question in this slide. What is the other produce rather than methane? For your information, animal dung is the main source of biogas production in India. This production of biogas is sufficient and suitable for the family content of 6 to 8 persons. Production of biogas also will be used to cook meal for 2 or 3 times. Besides, it may light up 2 lamps for 3 hours. Then it can also run a refrigerator for all day. Last but not least, it can also operate a 3 kilowatt motor generator for 1 hour. Besides, supercapacitors are the in-between arrangement in electrochemical batteries, which can help to store a large amount of energy which can be delivered with high power for a few milliseconds. It contains very high power density while contain a long cycle life. Lastly, several natural biomasses have been explored and used to production of active carbon. Active carbon has synthesis from animal dung using a modified chemical activation method, which can tough for long-term operation. Next question is, what is the chemical reaction involved in methane production from animal dung? Here is the example of chemical reaction that involve in methane production. It contains 2 steps. Methane generation is much like the controlled combustion, which is incomplete burning of wood to produce coal, burning a substance in an air-limited environment to produce a more readily usable yet high energy end product. The combustion of coal requires oxygen to be complete and produce heat, ash, water vapor and carbon dioxide. The combustion of methane also requires oxygen to burn, producing heat, water vapor and carbon dioxide. Methane production is usually expressed in terms of cubic feet of gas generated per pound of volatile solid destroyed. Volatile solids are the organic portion of livestock waste. About 18% of the mineral solids are volatile. Okay, next. But how do we know the animal dung has produced maximum amount of methane and that it shall be removed and replaced with a new dung for the methane production? Actually, manure type, the quantities produced at the farm depend on the housing type and the stage of animal rearing. Manure management in the building also affect the quantities of manure to be handled. The specific quantity of animal dung produced depend on many factors linked to the animal, feed regime, stage of process, type of production system, and so on, and the housing method used. Default values have been proposed by specialists, and these are used by administration to allow the farmer to estimate the storage capacity required by the regulation. This value is less than 263 million tons estimate by due to different quantity of manure produced by animal or place and the distribution of place between slurry and solid manure. Lastly, what is the difference between a fresh dung with the dung which has been extracted to produce methane? For your information, cow dung, which is usually a dark brown color, is often used as manure agricultural fertilizer. If not recycled into the soil by species such as earthworm and dung beetles, cow dung can dry out and remain on the pasture, creating an area of grazing land which is unplanted to livestock. Dung may also be collected and used to produce biogas to generate electricity and heat. The gas is rich in methane and is used in rural areas of India and Pakistan and elsewhere to provide a renewable and stable source of electricity. Okay guys, that's all from us. Thank you for watching.